Hi guys, this is me Danny here, and I just want to share my video on my YouTube channel, starting with this one on various topics I want to talk about or from personal experience in life. So, this is about my brush with the spiritual world while I was staying in a Middle Eastern country about 3 years back. So this all started with maybe about 10 years back or 8 years back, 10 years back more or less, when I was staying there with my family as a branch manager and marketing guy for a textile firm out of Thailand. Now it so happens that my son suffers from a blood disorder, and at the time when this started, this episode of mine with the spirit started. Actually, with a malevolent spirit started around that time. My son was still suffering from the blood disorder and used to take regular transfusion, and he was much younger in age, around the age of 10 or so. So we had a 2-bedroom apartment on rent there, and my daughter also was a small baby, being younger to her brother. So we started using one of our 2 bedrooms in the apartment, the master bedroom, for all of us to sleep together at night, because the small baby had to sleep next on a smaller bed, and my son, having the problem of the blood disorder, had to take medicine every night for 12 hours subcutaneously. So he had to sleep on the same bed as his parents, so we could take care of him, either me or his mother. So meanwhile, due to high temperatures in the Middle East, there were times when couple of times a year or once a year I used to catch a high fever, because my job required me to be out in the sun for long hours, from 45 to 50 degrees temperature in the Celsius. So anyway, when I used to feel kind of ill, then at those times I used to use the other bedroom, which we had converted to a toy room for the kids. It had a small bed, so I used to use that in order to not give the infection to the family whenever I suffered from a flu-like or a fever kind of state. Now during those times there was something in that room, let us call it some kind of a spirit, which was pretty disruptive as far as I am concerned, because whenever I was sleeping during those times, when I was not well in that room alone, then I would feel somebody pressing the lower back with 2 thumbs into my spine in such a hard way that it was very physical, and I happened to understand that it was a spirit, not an actual person, and but the effect was very real. So I used to wake up in a cold sweat very often, and at one time I saw some kind of a scary apparition in the window also, but mostly it was not manifesting in any image, but it used to give me a lot of pain, and I used to be scared. So by and by one gets bolder and faces all kinds of things in life. So at some point I started praying for the spirit. Whenever I used to feel this in the depth of my sleep, I used to start having a cold sweat, but at the same time start waking up from the sleep praying for the entity. So by and by it got to be less over the years, but it happened for a few years right up to the time I left the apartment, and that was about 6 years on from the time it started. Then my family shifted to Thailand back to take care of my mother-in-law, and then I shifted to a studio temporarily because I still hadn't quit my job there. I had to still some work to continue. So I stayed on in a studio flat, and then later on to the studio of 1 year staying there. I shifted as a paying guest to another accommodation, where finally that spirit left me. Those people in that flat were a family who gave me a room as a paying guest, and they had a lot of prayer in them. They were Hindus like me, and they were praying a lot every morning. So somehow I was relieved of it. But intermittently, when I shifted to the studio right across from my old flat, it kind of followed me, and although the attacks were less frequent, it did happen to me a few times in that year too. So it's all quite scary and remarkable as an experience, just sharing with you folks. And believe me, I'm not religious, and I'm not a person who hallucinates things easily. I never have actually. So it was very physical, and it happened to me. And I will never get over it in my life, in the sense that as a kid I didn't believe in these things. But I do know now certain things exist beyond our comprehension. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this small stint of my experience, and I would like to talk on many topics in the coming videos which I post. So cheers for now, and all the very best. Take care.